2025. Brendan Martin in Ocala, Florida, back from Panama City. I hope you had a great
Woo!
vacation over there.
I feel like I'm
Sounds
still
like
at
you
the
did.
beach, man. I'm at the beach. I'm on beach time. I don't know what's going on. I'm not ready for life.
Yeah, and so you get to the beach, you do forget what day it is. Hey, we got a great one today. Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football, is batting in the leadoff position. Jacques Doucet from Baton Rouge will check in after that. Yancey Porter had a meeting he was going to have. I couldn't rearrange it, so he's out today. Last minute cancellation, but we got a lot to cover. Take your phone, take a picture of that QR code. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, 7 channels live, and then at your leisure. And look, share the show with your friends, and we love your questions and comments. Feel free to do it. Don't be bashful. We don't bite, and we will answer your questions. So, hey, let's get started. It is July 1st, and we all know what's going on there, but we are going to talk college football, blocking, tackling, special teams. Let's talk about these SEC teams, other issues in college football. Out the window, man, because it is ball
I don't
time.
even have a coffee. I don't
Yeah.
even have a coffee. I got Gatorade. That's how bad it is for me right now.
Oh my gosh. I got some
I didn't even-
Shadracks.
It's one of those days. I just need to be back at the beach. Mr. Barnhart is in. He's my favorite guy in the whole world. Let's waste no more time and put graphics over his face. Mr. Barnhart, I'm sorry. I'm still on beach time. I'm working at me. I'll get it together. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. We are just now getting started. SEC Media Days in 13 days
Right.
in Atlanta. Barnhart gets a home game. All is good.
It really is. And I have been I go to Barnes and Noble to get all my books. I used to go to the Tobacco Corner newsroom in Memphis. That was the favorite place. Get 8 different out of town newspapers. Tony, I'm so fired up because we've got Lindy's has got Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, and LSU in their top 5. Georgia, I think, is 9th in their top 10. Just to confirm it, yeah, 9th. So there's some drama right there. One thing I'm noticing is what Kirby Smart's doing at Georgia, what Dabo's doing at Clemson. I'm seeing it more with Billy Napier at Florida, Freeze at Auburn, DeBoer now at Alabama. Starting to see you're keeping the big guys home.
Mm-hmm.
The guys you really want to keep are staying there because they're starting to realize that real, that 3-letter abbreviation, we're not going to say it, real name and all that stuff comes from grinding it out at your school and staying there. That's why I can still remember Nate Webster from Albany, Georgia, and Eddie Meat Cleaver Weaver from 1980 because they grinded it out the whole time. Isn't that what we love about college football? The grinders.
Well, and the thing about it is you just touched on it, Rob. Is that's your path? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, some people are going to say, well, your path is to go here and wait on another offer and then go there, and then wait on another offer and go there and play hopscotch around. And that's the real payoff comes when you stay at a program 3 years, maybe 4, if you're an elite player.
Yeah.
And that's going to end up being the way to go. And because now you got all these players going to different places. Obviously, Nico at Tennessee, we can use that as a classic example there of just jumping around when if you hang your hat with an established program, that is the key. The payoffs will be there if you do your job.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was cool. And talking when Cole Kubelik was up here recently at the Touchdown Club for the spring series, he talked about the ruggedness of Georgia. That's why they beat Texas last year in Austin and in Atlanta. Gunnar Stockton, we don't have much to go on with him. We don't really have that much to go on with Arch Manning. But if it was Gunnar Manning and Arch Stockton, what would the outlook be?
Well, the outlook will be fun. I found the discussion about Gunnar Stockton really, really interesting. Either you believe in this guy and this locker room rallies around him and they believe in him and he can get the job done, or the guy can't play a lick. And why is he even out there?
Yeah.
And there seemed to – I happen to think the guy's a pretty good player. But as you just pointed out, there's a very small sample size. And we will see. And, once the season starts, it's not that long till September 27th when Georgia plays Alabama. and that will be a most interesting trip.
It really will be. And Tony, you think about Georgia 1-9 in the last 10 with Alabama. That game, and that is two elite programs playing. Now Texas is in the mix. What is it? Also, South Carolina. Lenora Sellers out of Florence, South Carolina, home of the Swamp Fox, Francis Marion from the Revolutionary War fame.
That's right.
You think about Lenoris, man, played soccer in 32 games, scored 25 goals. This guy's turned down a lot to stay in Columbia. Now, you talk about writing a great story and in the offseason when you go visit with these coaches. Have you had a chance to talk to Lenoris?
I've not. And as I'm doing my little tour this summer, I hope to get by to see him. But Lenoris played as well as anybody, and I don't mean anybody in the SEC. I mean anybody. He played and is exceptional talent. And I think they found a groove at South Carolina. It's good. South Carolina is one of those teams, that they're not gonna come out of nowhere, but they're better. They're better than you think they are because you make certain assumptions about South Carolina. And so that's what makes it fun. As my bride says, that's why we play the games.
Yeah.
And that's why we're looking forward to the season starting.
Yeah, it really is. I think in the last 7 games, South Carolina was 6-1. Similar path at the end was Florida with DJ Lagway as the starter. Those are two really good teams. And this year, expectations for both schools are a lot higher.
They are a lot higher, and the Gator fans are expecting for Florida to build on what they did last year, because it was all gloom and doom. You look at that schedule, what's going to happen? Oh my goodness! And they finished strong, and had DJ been healthy for the whole game against Georgia, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
And so that the Gators have got something to build upon. And look, Rob, we're going to have a year this year like we did last year, and I believe a lot of really, really good teams in this conference. Not sure there's a great team, but not a lot of. So we'll see, because there's things that we don't know yet, and that's the Arch Manning era, how it begins. So.
Yeah, we had a really cool discussion with Roman Harper on the roundtable Friday about Paul Feinbaum questioning, is the SEC era of dominance over? And that's what Paul does. What's what you do. You make people think, get out of your comfort zone. I think I don't necessarily think that's bad, because if you are just going along and you get complacent, you know what happens. It never ends well. I like the fact that there are people chat. Brett Bielema has reared his head. I mean, hey, Illinois won 10 games last year. Indiana, Kurt Signetti, they ain't going anywhere. So to me, that's what makes college football so good. There's always someone in the rearview mirror.
Well, and that's what makes college football the best game in the world. And again, all these things we're talking about, speculating about, we don't know, but we're going to find out. We got a blockbuster Saturday to start the season. It's going to be, and I mean, I was looking at a couple of different games, but I think I'm going to stay home, do Syracuse and Tennessee, and then go hunker down behind my TV set and watch the rest of them.
Hey, the last time Tennessee opened a season with Syracuse was in '98 in the Carrier Dome.
I was there.
Remember, what's funny about the Carrier Dome? They don't have air conditioning there.
That's 100% true.
And William Carrier, didn't he invent the air conditioner?
I believe that's right. But it was fun. Who's the great Tennessee kicker from Winchester, Tennessee? Made a field goal there at the end.
Greg that wasn't Greg Burke, was it?
No. He was from Philip. The storyline was he's from Philip Fulmer's hometown.
Yeah, Winchester.
And Coach Fulmer sent him out there to kick the game-winning field goal. So.
Yeah, and I think that's where Sir John Templeton, the great Templeton Global Investment, the first global investor, is also from Winchester or Manchester over there. Driven that many a time, making the road trip from Memphis to Athens, stopping off to pick up a friend in Nashville, and that's the area. That game stands out because Tennessee barely won it, and they barely won a lot of the games.
Right.
When you win a national championship, you got to get some bounces to go your way, but you got to create them.
Like the Arkansas bounce?
Yeah. Who will ever forget that one? Arkansas fans still in group therapy over the Sternover, they call it. But I'll tell you, I'm thinking about this too. Clemson hosting LSU. That will be
Great game.
beyond
Great
big.
game. Yep.
And
I've talked to Clemson people. They are convinced. First of all, they think they've got one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country, maybe the best, in Cade Klubnik. But the more important thing is Tony, we've got the best defensive line in college football. I'm telling you. And so I think that's a great way to open up the season.
yeah, and Clemson's got a couple of offensive linemen that have 41 and 42 starts. The right guard and the right tackle, Blake Miller. And, Ellis Johnson's son is a PWO, a rising sophomore, Charlie, on that Clemson team. So he gets to go to practice several times a week. And how much fun would that be? And, Clemson is, no matter what, they're still an SEC. They're so much like the SEC. It's kind of like they're in, but they're not. Looking at the big picture on the other side, A&M, last year they were rolling and then they weren't. Marcel Reed is back. We're hoping we can get him on the show here in the next few days. My intern, that's his high school quarterback, so they're very close at MBA. Marcel and Texas A&M led the SEC last year in points per SEC game at like 29.4. I think most people have forgotten that. But again, what did they do in the games when it really mattered? They did get some big wins, though.
Right. No, they did. And well, first of all, Mike Elko's a really good coach. I mean, he's always been a really good coach. They just had a very, very difficult finish. So I'm anxious to see how they kind of bounce back. It's going to be, have you noticed, Rob, that our conversations about football are different, about the SEC specifically, are different now that there's no divisional play. Okay. I mean, it's 1 through 16, and we talk about those teams that have a chance to win the conference, but we don't say, well, they can win the West and get to Atlanta. No, we don't. Yeah. We don't have those conversations anymore.
You almost by default in your mind, you like to think of the Western teams and the Eastern teams. Just like I say, our fan base all over the country because of the web and podcasting, but you've got on the East flank Braves country, on the Western Cardinals nation. And on the South, you got the Rays. So it is, I just think too, Arkansas fans in year 2 with Bobby Petrino coaching Talon Green at quarterback and Sam Pittman being able to be much more dedicated to the offensive line. You expect Arkansas to do anything different in year 2 with Bobby Petrino?
Talon Green and Bobby Petrino are going to light them up. They lit them up last year. Have you looked at their numbers from last year? Yeah. They had a tremendous season. Obviously, when you go 4-8, you didn't win the games you needed to win. So I think look, Petrino, like him, don't like him, whatever. He's one of the best play callers of our generation, and I think they'll do well. But they're gonna have to play better defense. Yeah. They're gonna have to run the ball.
And the thing about college football that's so special is I'm over here today at the farm in Parkin, Arkansas, right outside of Memphis, and I'll be back in Memphis every day. I could go up to the friendly market and start talking college football with people I've never met in my life, and you will have them in there, just everybody weighing in. There is not a better game, and none of them are talking about all that other BS on the side. So, and I just think, in these football magazines here, like I said, I've got Lindy's. You know what? Somebody told me that what sells the football magazines is the cover art, not what's on. And can you get every year the headline in Tennessee? Vols look to build to the next level. Doors look to improve. It's always, but last year, Tony, and you and you've talked with, Vanderbilt's coach, Clark Lee. He's a very pensive, cerebral guy. He went to MBA. What about, he's building something there. And I want to go back to something he said last year after you answer that, because it was very telling.
Well, here's the thing. Diego Pavia is back. All right. They've got a lot of really good players. He makes everybody on that team better. And so there's a level of confidence. Hey guys, did you happen to notice that we beat Alabama last year? Okay. And so they're going to be competitive. And listen, if you've got an elite quarterback, you've got a shot. You got a shot in every game you play. And so Vanderbilt will have a shot. But let's put it this way: Diego Pavia is not going to sneak up on anybody this year. You know exactly what that dude
Well,
brings to the table.
And last year when Clark Lee was at SEC Media Days in Dallas, he said of the 120 guys in our football building, every one of these guys has been signed by this staff, and they've bought into what we're building here. I think that paid off.
Mm-hmm. It did pay off, and it's like anything else. You have to build a solid foundation. Your foundation in building a football program is people who believe in what you do. And how long does it take before you get complete buy-in? I think that I saw some film of I was looking at Coach Dye's locker room speech after beating Alabama in '89, and he just said he looked at his men. He said, "You know what?" He said, "I told you when you became one, you'd know it." And he said, "We just became
He
one."
talked about, I watched you become men, and he said it don't matter who's passing, who's tackling, who's blocking, long as they're wearing a blue jersey. And I remember he was speaking at the Touchdown Club in Memphis, October of '94. We picked him up at the airport. That night he gave a speech. He said, "What kind of speech y'all want to hear? One of them old dressed up ones, a nice one, or you want me to just let her rip?" Everybody goes, "Let her rip." Man, he went to town.
Coach.
And the intro, when we brought him up there, we had on a big screen that locker room speech. And I mean, it still just gives you chills. I mean, thinking about what that meant. And, Tony, that's why you are so important, is because you've got the energy of a 23-year-old college kid. It never has changed. That's what you bring to the table. And it also comes through in your writing. I talked to Buddy. Buddy is as excited, Buddy Martin, I'm talking Brendan's dad, as he was 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? We're getting 59 days from Auburn at Baylor. So, or Thursday night, Missouri plays somebody. Do you really care? It's college football.
I'm ready. I'm fired up to know there's a game on the 29th between Auburn and Baylor.
Yeah.
I mean, how good is that? I mean, no, it's exciting. I'm currently researching my next book, and I had a chance to look at, really study and drill down deep on that game in '89, December 2nd, 1989. Most emotional day I have ever spent in a college football stadium, and what that's like. There's so much good about college football. That's why I tell people, don't worry about all this stuff. The game on the field, and I've said this a bunch traveling around, the game on the field, what we look at every Saturday, is better than it's ever been. It is a tremendous game, and there's a lot going, and we will work our way through this. I know people are very discouraged and think the game is going away forever. It's not. The game is so good, and the adults like us can't screw it up.
I mean, ask anybody that was like my 96-year-old dad, World War II, the world's coming to an end. Hey, man, we got through it. We are Americans. We always will. Yep. Tony, I know you got a heart out, but I would recommend anybody take a road trip. Just drive to these college towns, and you will realize how big a deal college football is. I wish you could stay longer, but you said you got to go. Let people know how they can follow you, and I look forward to seeing you in Atlanta. And we're going to make a vow. It's all ball. It's July 1st. One big news: Auburn switched from Under Armour to Nike today. That's the big news.
That is the big news. Now, Mr. CFB is my Twitter handle. We are having conversations right now about what my home is going to be once the games start, and we're looking forward to this. But I'm telling you, I think I told you, Rob, that I'm taking this year to do one final tour of the SEC, and I've already have a commitment from the University of Georgia Press to turn that into a book. And that book will be published late 2026.
I'm ready to do it. We're going to head down to Baton Rouge right now, but I will see you in Atlanta. Thanks for so much more than you know for coming on with us. All right.
See you in Atlanta, guys.
Jacques Doucet, thanks is an understatement for how much you mean to us coming on this show. I know you were working late. When I was in TV, I worked in the Eastern time zone, so we didn't get through till 11:30. And if there was a late game, sometimes it was 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'll never forget when the when Fort Benning, when the Army Rangers went into Panama, December 21st of '89. We left at 11:30. We were back up there at 2 a.m. because the troops had been deployed. And you know what? You learn that floor in the newsroom, it's not that comfortable, but you can adjust to it. But man, you're everywhere. You're
Well, I
reporting.
appreciate it. My mom is FaceTiming me right now. And I'm on the radio, Mom. I'll be back with you in a moment. But yeah, great to be with you this morning. And exciting. Well, this is probably the slowest sports week of the year, 4th of July, right?
Yes.
I don't consider competitive eating a sport. It's disgusting. I don't need to see guys shove hot dogs down their throat.
Yeah.
But anyway, SEC Media Days, I think, will be 2 weeks from yesterday in Atlanta. I was down at the Manning Passing Academy Friday. That was pretty cool, and have done some nice one-on-one interviews with the LSU baseball national champions. So good stuff going on here.
Well, life is not good. It's great when you're doing that. Going to the Manning and Thibodeau, or as they say in Wisconsin, Thibodeau. My great-great-grandfather lived there for about 20 years, had a farm down there. And so, you went to that passing academy. I saw on Twitter the commercial with Archie Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, and Arch Manning. Have you seen that commercial?
No, I think I've heard about it. I mean, I saw all those people on Friday. They were all there, of course, but no, I didn't see it.
So growing up, and also I was listening to Chuck Oliver's show yesterday, and Heath Klein was filling in for Chuck. I think Chuck is on assignment this week and in Alaska, but he'll be at Media Days. They were talking about you, and it may have been what you told me about Easter Sunday. I think y'all went to Mass out on the Mississippi River levee. He said Jacques Doucet's father was speaking French. Now, he didn't say it right, Acadian French. Isn't it Acadian French that they speak? But can you speak it?
Comme ci, comme ça, je m'appelle Jacques, comment est-tu? I know a few little sayings here and there, but no. I mean, my dad is fluent French. Matter of fact, when he would go to school, and they'd hit you with a ruler if you spoke French at school because they were getting people to speak English. But that's his first language. I mean, his name is Duluce Pierre Doucet. I mean, you cannot get any more French than that. So, and he used to talk about how people would say, oh, your French is not a romantic French, or it's not a well-spoken French. It's kind of, but then he said he went over to France and went to Paris and other places, and they thought he was from Versailles. So he said, that's a bunch of BS. He said, he said French is good French. So yeah, they were, that's the day, Easter Sunday, he was talking to Coach O on the levee there. Coach O was having fun at a wedding reception over the weekend too. I don't know if you saw that.
That's what they were talking about. Well, I mean, do you think he'll ever get back into coaching?
You know, I think LSU is done paying him in December. Okay. So I think they're going to cut his final check of the $17 million or whatever in December. And after that, you know, I don't know. I don't know if swallows his pride is the right word, but does he go back to taking an assistant position somewhere, coaching D-line somewhere or whatnot? I mean, and does he want to deal with the modern day NIL and transfer portal and all that at this point? I think he's good for college football. I think that anytime he's on a sideline, he makes the game more interesting and more exciting. Definitely he engages the student section and other people. They see him and they shout stuff. And I mean, I remember when he was an assistant with Les Miles in 2015, they were at Ole Miss, and he's coming out, and all the Ole Miss fans are shouting at him because obviously he coached at Ole Miss, and he looked at us, he goes, "Gotta love college football, don't you?" And he just kept going. And so I'd like to see him back in some capacity. I don't know if that's what he wants to do or not, but we'll see.
I would love for him to come back. Dan Williams, I know him through the Touchdown Club in Memphis, played at Tennessee on the defensive line 05 to 09. And he said he was telling a story on sidelines about when Coach O was his defensive line coach. And he said, when we were around everybody else, he was like real straight and narrow. And he got us off to our own. He goes, "Let me tell you something. You are," and he said, "Wow." But he said, we loved playing for the guy. You would not want to tell Coach O you were hitting the portal if he'd invested a lot of his time. And Tommy Tuberville told the coolest story on this show, and he used to be on with us every week before he became a damn senator, but he doesn't have any time anymore. But he said he was on that staff at Miami, and it was Jimmy Johnson was the coach, and then Dennis Erickson after that, of course. He was there 8 years, 86 to 93. When he got promoted, Jimmy Johnson said, go find your assistant. He said, I had a friend up in Fayetteville. He said, we got this assistant strength coach who's really, really good. He can coach. He said he called him and left a message, and then Coach O called him back. He said, I never met the guy. He left me a voicemail, and you needed, a translator. I could not understand anything you said, but he came in and they hired him on the spot. I think that Pete Jenkins is another great one. He's 83, still being used as one of the smartest guys in football. All right, let's talk about LSU football real quick. Number 5 in Lindy's right now. What about Garrett Nussmeier concerns you, and what makes you think this is the right captain for this LSU team?
Well, that was the major reason I went to the Manning Passing Academy on Friday, was the fact we were going to get a chance to interview him. I mean, he's been a camper over there, or a counselor with the campers 3 straight years. And so we talked to him for a long time. He has been at LSU since 2021, and yet he hasn't played a ton of football. Last year was his first year as a starter. So there's a guy named Jimmy Ott here that you know very well.
Yes, the Ott father.
Yeah. I think his father just passed away. So send our regards to Jimmy. His dad was on the 1958 national championship team for LSU.
Yep.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegrip do a great show down here, and they talk a lot about 25 starts, like as a starting quarterback, getting those 25 starts before you go to the NFL. So Garrett doesn't have that yet. He's got a live arm. He can make all the throws. I know he doesn't like to be called a gunslinger. He does have some Brett Favre, Johnny Manziel in him, where he runs around and then flings it in, and there's good results with that. There's bad results with that. He looks good physically. I kind of talked to him a little bit. He says he's about 200 pounds. He had gotten down to like 194, but he's really, getting his body strong and right to also run the football. He knows he didn't run as much as he could have or should have last year, although, not a whole lot behind him. So we don't need him to get hurt, at least last year.
Yeah.
And so he's a great kid. I think he cares a lot about LSU and LSU winning. He's not a hired gun. He's not somebody LSU gave a bunch of money to come here and win in that regard. And so you're rooting for him, and you just know that the first game is a very difficult one on the road at Clemson. Klubnik, the Clemson quarterback, he was also at the Manning Passing Academy, so had a chance to chat with him as well. He was a great, very polite kid. He was very guarded. I almost felt like Clemson told him, hey, look, you're going into the heart of the beast there in Louisiana. We're playing LSU first game. Don't say anything stupid, So anyway, he was a great kid as well. I mean, I was talking about Death Valley, the 2 Death Valleys and everything, and he was very complimentary to LSU. So anyway, that's SEC Media Days, as we talked about. Talking season will be here in less than 2 weeks, and then I guess they'll start practice in early August, and away we go.
Well, everybody talks LSU has lost 5 in a row. This is not
season opener, right?
Yeah, season in a row. Yeah, not games. No, that you'd have to go back to the Curly Hallman years for that kind of nightmare. But you think about going to play at Clemson. I mean, this is the marquee game in the whole country. I mean, it's bigger than Texas at Ohio State, in my opinion, because it's I just think it's so big. So Brian Kelly's been in a lot of big games. You bring in 12 4-stars via the transfer portal in the offseason. If you gave them a grade at LSU, A, B, C, D, F, and filling the needs, it's got to be an A+.
Yeah, in terms of the offseason and the guys they got, I think so. I mean, it seems like they addressed the needs that they had in mind. I think he has said over and over, well, at least more than once, that this is the most talented roster he's had. LSU fans will say we've heard that before. It's Lucy holding the football and pulling it back from Charlie Brown. Yeah. But Nussmeier agreed with him. Nussmeier's been at LSU longer than Brian Kelly has. Yeah. And he agreed that it's the most talented roster they've had. So I think what he means by that is there a guy like Jaden Daniels on the roster or even Malik Neighbors, maybe not, but they don't have the holes that they've had in past years defensively and whatnot. And so I think that's the important thing. And the coaching will get better going into a different Blake Baker now in his second year as D coordinator. Kyle Williams now coaching the defensive line for the first time. Corey Raymond back for a second year after departing for a couple of years after a long stay. So all that stuff should add up. But yes, I mean, Clemson first game on the road, that's tough.
Well, you just talked about Corey Raymond. He's DBU's coach, and there's no question. He went to Florida for a while, came back. So you get the defensive line rolling, and you've got some depth there. That just makes Corey Raymond's defensive backs that much more dangerous. Let's talk about the depth on the front seven for LSU. And I say that knowing that it's hard to build the 2 and 3 deep depth that you have in the past because guys are coming and going so often. But you would think there's enough guys there that are so talented, it could be scary.
Yeah, let's see here. From your position standpoint, you got Dominic McKinley. He's back for another season. I mean, I was talking to our guy Kyle Williams the other day at the spring game. He's like, look, people got to keep in mind this guy's 19 years old, and so they still, it's still some youth there at different positions. I think they've let's see here, defense. Patrick Payton, he's coming off the edge. They got him from Florida State. I think I saw some draft projections where he may go pretty high. Jamari Butler, another guy they got him from Nebraska. He's an end. They last year overachieved, and when they brought in Bo Davis to coach the D line from Texas, they were thrilled about that. And then he goes to the Saints after 1 year, which was kind of surprising. Jack Pyburn is a guy they got from Florida.
Yes.
He looks like he could be an Avenger or something. Like you shoot a bullet, he'd bounce off his chin. He's got this iron jaw that I think that they're pretty high on him. I'm just flicking through it here on LSUsports.net. So I think that they've addressed some. So your tackles are McKinley, Ahmad Bro. He should have an NIL deal with Whataburger because he came in light and said that his secret to gaining weight and getting bigger was to eat the double cheeseburger and 3 large fries. Maybe not great for his blood work and cholesterol, but good for weight gain. And then also, Jacobian Guillory was a guy that was a veteran guy going into last year who was got hurt the second game of the year with an Achilles. So that's a rough injury he's coming back from. So those are just a few guys.
And I mean, in thinking about that, the talent level at LSU, it's top 6 in the country, top 8 at the worst. And then you bring in a guy like Jack Pyburn from Florida. Florida last year in the LSU game in Baton Rouge in November sacked Nussmeier 8 times. And you bring one of those guys over there, you can see what LSU did. I have not seen a school. The only other school who's done so much in the portal this offseason, Texas Tech. And, Cody Cameron, I think is his name, former 4-year Letterman, 2 years in the NFL, is funding a lot of that. But LSU has addressed, I think, the needs at about every position. I just can't think. But I want to ask you about the offensive line last year. Pro Football Focus really was high on a couple of the LSU linemen. Where were they drafted? Because you only have, think about this, 7 rounds times 32. Naught goes into naught minus naught, 224. That's it. That's only number of guys drafted. But did they replace them, do you think? I mean, are they going to be strong enough to run it?
I think that's the biggest question on the team going into this year is the offensive line. And last year it was viewed at this point last year when we were going into the year, they were viewed as the strength of the team. Like they were going to get behind this offensive line. Will Campbell was picked fourth in the entire draft by the Patriots. And then we had Emory Jones went in the third round. And then we had Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger. They were also drafted. So for the four guys that left, they all got drafted. So those are big shoes to replace. The center is back there, DJ Chester. But they got two guys out of the portal, one from Virginia Tech and another one from Northwestern, not the Northwestern in Natchitoches, the one in Chicago. So those two guys should be able to start. But I think that's the biggest question because protecting Nussmeier, they did not run the ball well enough for him last year. He did make some mistakes, throw some passes he shouldn't have thrown, but too much was on his shoulders to try to make this happen on his own. The LSU not ranked high in running the football. They got Caden Durham back, who led them as the leading rusher last year as a freshman. So that's the question: protecting Nussmeier, establishing a rushing attack. It's up to the big guys up front. I think everyone is very high on Brad Davis, their offensive line coach, that he works relentlessly and will do his best to establish a great offensive line. But as he would joke with me, if I don't, I'm going to be looking for a new job. So he understands the pressures of LSU.
Well, and really it's the unicorn game. You think about it. Cade Klubnik is a 4th or 5th year player out of Austin Westlake at Clemson. Garrett Nussmeier, 5th year at LSU. That don't underestimate. I know you're not, but for people, how big a deal that is. And Garrett grew up with his dad coaching at Alabama, at Florida, going back to LSU. Was he born in Lake Charles? Is that where they're originally from?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
His mother is an Abear. It's her maiden name. And
Okay.
I think kin to Bobby, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Or, Bobby certainly talks about it. Man, he did good for himself marrying an Abear, so.
He'll always take credit for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Called Hebert outside of Louisiana, right? So, he grew up on not only LSU football, he grew up on Alabama football playing LSU. His dad was the offensive coordinator in 2012 when LSU played perhaps the biggest heartbreaker in their history, or one of them, a night game in Tiger Stadium. They called the swing pass to TJ Yeldon, who romps into the north end zone to rip LSU's heart out. That was the season after the two played in the national championship game, and LSU lost 21-0. So anyway, I think he had on an Alabama jersey watching that game. But loves LSU football. I mean, like I told you the other day, I asked him, I said, I don't think there's been another LSU quarterback who's worn number 13 since Tommy Hodson, which goes back, almost 40 years, my childhood hero. And he's like, oh yeah, I know all about Tommy Hodson. Yeah. Earthquake game, blah, blah, blah. So he knows his history too, which, I think LSU fans appreciate.
No, and you're right. I've read that last week, knowing who Tommy Hodson is. And there's just, when a kid he's a special one, enjoy him while you got him. There's no question. All right, I want to ask you real quick too. You did a wonderful one-on-one with Jay Johnson, who's not even 50. And you said he may be coaching into his 70s, which is comforting news to everyone in the SEC and the rest of America. But I mean, I want you to put in perspective for people. Like Frank Duffy points out, Frank and them, they flew out. They went fishing off of Venice, and then they flew up for Sunday's game, he and his buddies. But 20 of the last 40 years, Skip Bertman's there. You talked about he had to come out in a wheelchair. He got this thing going. He's lost his wife this past year. What a jewel. And Jay Johnson comes in from Arizona, and 2 of the last 3 years wins the whole thing. And during the regular season, there's no panic. It's a culture, isn't it? Do they use someone like Dr. Kevin Elko to talk to them? Because, Kevin Elko works with Alabama. He was Saban's guy. I've met him. He spoke to our company before. But there's something different down there.
Real quick, I'm looking at your chat. Perry Mason, Mike Archer, I just texted him a couple times the other day. He was at the U.S. Open watching golf and cheering for Sam Burns. And I think he was coaching in that new league that, I don't know, XFL, UFL, whatever that league was. He was coaching over there. I did I'd like to do a interview with him again before the year. But he's alive and well. I don't think he was a head coach again after he left LSU. He was here 87 through 90, 10-1-1, 8-4 his first years, and then the next 2 years they had losing seasons, unfortunately. But anyway, you take a look at Jay Johnson. I joked with him the other day. I said, if you coach 25 more years here and you win one national championship every 5, you'll finish with 7 national titles. So he said, well, I don't know if I got 25 years in the tank or whatever. I said, well, even if you coach 20 years and win one every 4, you've won 2 and 4, Yeah. And so, I mean, he's got the real opportunity to, build a dynasty at LSU. I told him, I said, the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s won 3 and 4 years. We called them a dynasty. If you win again next year. He said, well, sounds good to me. We'll get our best shot. But, he emulated Saban. He read all about Saban. Bill Franquez, the sports information director, told me, he said, when Jay first got here, he goes, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but I'm a real big Nick Saban fan. I read, when Saban's still a threat at Alabama. I mean, he's a relentless worker. He understands the modern athlete. I think Nick Saban, when he won his first national title, he was 49 or 50. So this guy's already got 2 at 48. So just getting started. He's not going to leave LSU, I don't think. He's not interested in coaching professional baseball. I think maybe a Texas or Texas A&M might throw $1 billion bucks at him one day. Hey, come coach us. So we'll see about that. But I think he's in for the long haul. This is where he wants to be.
Well, and you think about LSU baseball, they can get the money if they have to. I mean, they would, but you would be an absolute fool to leave LSU baseball for any other job, because whatever money they got, hell, the state could float a bond issue or something. Could you imagine buying, I'll take $1 million block of those Jay Johnson bonds, paying me 5% tax-free interest?
Well, the players are doing very well too. They were getting on the bus the other day, and there was a guy from the local car dealership, and they're all going up to, I'm gonna get those rims when I get back. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get that radio taken. So, and rightfully so. I mean, they're under a lot of pressure, and a lot of them are under full scholarship. Although I think that's going to change with all this new stuff. But I mean, they can really pitch. Hey, you want to come play in front of 10, 11, 12,000 fans? You want to be seen around the world? You want to go to Omaha? You want to do all these things? You want to go to the major leagues? Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz. I mean, just look, Kate Anderson and Anthony Ianson. They'll be the next in line. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it is just an unbelievable. It's a dynasty program for sure, with 8 national championships. And you think about Augie Garrido and Rod Ditto, at Southern Cal, won 11 or 12. Completely different way of college baseball back then. Now it is so much more competitive on a national level, and you get Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt. They're rolling. All right, a couple of more things before you let you go, and I appreciate so much, Jacques. WAFB Channel 9 in Baton Rouge. You're doing documentaries. You did the one on Cecil Collins, a 3.5 game career that just I would wish the SEC network would pick that up, because if you look in the mornings, they are starved for content. I mean, they got to show SEC now over and over and over. Why not have people like you who work your tail off to put out great quality material, whether it's your newscast or the documentaries? People need to see that. Tell them how they can watch the Cecil the Diesel, the documentary.
Just go to YouTube and search Cecil versus the Diesel. We were fortunate. Darren DeQuano did an amazing job shooting almost all those interviews, editing the whole thing, putting it all together. I mean, my role in it was to be the idiot savant who remembers everything in the timeline from 1995 through 2000 about Cecil, and ask those questions and kind of frame it. And we were fortunate. We won an Emmy with it, and we're working on another one. We're not sure what it's going to be exactly. It's kind of wide. It's in the time frame of Nick Saban's first couple of years at LSU, Rohan Davey and Josh Reed. So we're still kind of working on that. Nick Saban, by the way, was inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame this past weekend. Had a lot of glowing things to say about his time at LSU, which, you always kind of have the feeling that the second he would step away from Alabama and start talking about LSU in glowing terms, then all the people that said, I hate that guy, that would kind of melt. And I think that's kind of what happened. And certainly he said, although he was at Alabama and LSU and Alabama were, going hot and heavy at it, he said, I always admired LSU from afar, proud of the name brand, proud of what we started there that continued.
Yeah.
And so, we're working on that. So you can read, if you want to watch the one-on-one with Jay Johnson as well, go to our WAFB YouTube page, interviewed him one-on-one for 45 minutes. Even had some fun with him on 80s pop culture. I went Prince, Michael Jackson, Bon Jovi, Journey, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, all that stuff. He answered them all great. He did. He came up empty, though, on the Jacques Doucet question, who was better in Van Halen, David Lee Roth, or Sammy Hagar? He goes, I can't really answer that. I don't know enough about it. So, but anyway, that's all there. Great job. Bill Franquez, sports information director, sat down with him. Kramer Robertson, LSU baseball, great. Came in yesterday. That's all uploaded in there for you to watch.
Well, and it is, again, nationally, people know a little about a lot. You know a lot about LSU, but you also know the national picture. So I guess the last question is, and then let people know how they can follow you. You're looking ahead to media days. Who's going to ask the first question? Rest in peace, Bob Holt. That was a tradition. He passed away, the Arkansas Democrat, this year.
Yeah.
People say, why do you go to media days? You meet so many people there. You can watch those coaches give coach speak at home, but what are you looking for? What are some of the questions that you want to ask the coaches when you get there, other than, just LSU's?
Well, it does give you kind of a shot of adrenaline, the bright lights, all your head coaches are there. These are all pretty famous people, well-known, the guys walking around the hallways. It does kind of give you a shot of adrenaline. Then about midway through day 2, you're like, okay, I've heard enough. We're working hard. This team's really tight. We're excited about the season, that kind of thing. And unfortunately, in today's new platforms, everyone's looking to grab a bite and blow it up. So it makes some of these people a little more reserved, like as opposed to in the days of Steve Spurrier, where he would come out and just, throw a few zingers at people. That was great. Yeah. But LSU is going to go on day 1. LSU has gone on day 1 for a long time now. And so I'm not really sure the questions I'm going to ask yet. I mean, it's a long drive to Atlanta, so I have plenty of time to think about that. I would assume LSU would bring Garrett Nussmeier again. I've heard that Chris Hilton, the wide receiver, may be attending as well. And so, NIL talk and all that, I know it's important. To me, it's kind of boring at the same time. I think people want to hear about games and matchups and memories more than they want to hear about, well, we've set aside this much to pay this guy. And I just don't think that moves the needle with a ton of people, although it's very important. But look at you'll be there.
Oh yeah, we're heading. Brendan and I be there the 13th through the 17th.
Well, I think that's where I initially met you way back.
Yeah, Audrey and I were there eating dinner one night, and you were up there because we've been up there talking to Chuck Oliver. By the way, you do a great job when I hear you on there. And tell us your dad's name one more time. I absolutely love it. What is it?
Duluce Pierre Doucet is his. We call him. Everyone calls him D. Okay. And so he was a junior, so they also call him June. But I went on Chuck Oliver's show. It was funny. I had been one-man banding LSU baseball up in Omaha for 2 weeks, and I got a text message, hey, you want to come on and talk to Chuck? I said, yeah, come on. And he asked me about some recruit for football in Houston who had done something over the weekend. I had no idea what he was talking about. I tried to BS my way through it. So tell me about the blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Chuck, man, I thought you wanted me to talk. LSU baseball just won the national championship yesterday. I thought that's what I was talking about. Not some recruit for the year 2029.
Yeah. Well, you know how he does. He go, all right, it's an LSU thing. Jacques Doucet, WAFB, Channel 9, Baton Rouge. Hey, I mean, the guy, his mind it's incredible. But anyway, you're like a roving newspaper with all that you put out on Twitter. You got a huge following. Let them know how they can follow you. And as always, thanks way more than you know for coming on here and sharing your time.
No problem. My name right there, Jacques Doucet. Just search it on X, Twitter. You'll find me, my Facebook page as well. WAFB.com is our website, and obviously our YouTube page on WAFB.com. You'll find all the one-on-one interviews and other content that we've done. John Eads has done a fantastic job covering LSU baseball with me. Kevin Baptiste as well, doing a great job helping cover all our local sports. So check us out.
Hey, love it, man. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Okay, Rob. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you as well, man. I'm telling you, Brendan, I love this conversation this morning. It's all ball. It's July 1st, people. Get your head out of the sand. Focus on what's ahead. Hey, Winter Timber Outdoors, speaking of preparing and getting ready right now, you better be getting out there, getting your food plots ready. Deer season, bow season always starts 1st of September. Dove season coming up in 2 months. Hey, you better have your sunflowers, your millet, your milo. Better have everything ready to go. All your gear, guns, knives, ammunition, everything that you need. Winter Timber Outdoors, Athens, Alabama, open every day of the week. And a 13,000 square foot store is under construction in Auburn, expected to open up the first week of August. Now, about a month away. LandersFordMemphis.com, Poplar and Houston Levy. Here's why you want to buy from Landers. They will work with you and be competitive on the price. They got the Ford Power Promise. They've got a lot of things that they back up and can deliver. Brad Bellamy, the general manager, that's who you ask for. Say, hey, heard about you on SEC Sidelines Sports. I don't care where you live. They can deliver a vehicle anywhere. That's nothing. Put it on the back of a truck, and they ship them out all over the country. Landers Ford open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the service department will pick you up, provide round-trip transportation. 3 vehicles to look for right now: the 25 Expeditions, the Broncos, and the F-150 series. They got them all at Landers. Down the street, Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. No matter where you live, first off, HewlettandDunn.com. They've got Barber, Filson. They've got more duck heads than Maury Gaston could ever dream of owning. They have STS luggage, shirts, jackets. They've got Old South Devil Dog jeans. If you're a 36, you're a 34. If you're a 40, you're a 38. They fit like no other jeans that you've put on. They've also got over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's cowboy boots. Got them made out of everything. If you like boots, there's no place like Hewlett and Dunn. Charles Hall, the owner, his wife Laura, the whole crew out there, they're there to serve. Okay, they're there Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Go out and find ways to help people. You'll light up the world when you do it, and the return on investment is 1,000. Everybody for watching. See you tonight on the Buddy Martin Show. Low Down with Lauren at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great day, everybody.